Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Because it is. And we are covering climate change news of the days. These are the days of our climate change. Hopefully y'all can hear me correctly. I don't know. I feel like my sound is weird. But maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just me. Let me know if the sound is strange. Okay. Once again, guys, I gotta ask you to help boost the algorithms, fight the algorithms on YouTube. I've said this many times, and I've said it the other day. They are really suppressing my channel, and the effect of that is that, you know, if they can make my views and my videos go down, it makes the effect is a psychological effect. It makes me feel bad, like I'm doing the wrong thing. Makes me feel unsure of what I'm doing. Maybe I should change it up. Maybe I should shut my mouth. Maybe I shouldn't talk about certain things, blah, blah, blah. But it also, to the viewer, makes people feel like, oh, there's not much going on. He doesn't have that many views today. Must not be that interesting. Let me just reiterate again to you, to the people on YouTube, that everything you see on YouTube is not real. The likes, the views, etc. are not real. They are doing all kinds of funny things with the numbers. So please, like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel, etc. Help fight back against the algorithms. I don't know what to do about the views. I can't really do anything about the views. I had my video a couple days ago about Boris Johnson at the COP26 summit had like 920 views, and then I looked at it 2 days later, it had 730 views. I was like, how does that go backward? And then today it has 650 views or whatever. So they're literally just they're taking my views in the other direction than which they should be going. So YouTube committing full-on fraud and, all kinds of intelligence service chicanery, because they just must suppress anybody talking about anything real. Anyways, that's all. Oh, also, please join me on Rockfin. There are people watching on Rockfin. Hello, people on Rockfin. Irk1, Urban Hermit, Lauren Neufeld, all the cool cats. And if you really want to know how to, a really good way to support this channel is to go subscribe for the $10 a month thing on Rockfin, the subscription, $10 subscription on Rockfin, which gives you access to like all the channels. Convo Couch, Richard Medhurst, Nico House, Jimmy Dore, Ron Placone, all kinds of people are on there. Last American Vagabond, Whitney Webb. So yeah, you can get all the premium content, and you can support my channel in that way. And also be ready for the day when you can be ahead of the curve if and when I'm not going to be on YouTube anymore. I'm not saying that's happening anytime soon. I'm still live streaming on YouTube every day, but who knows? Who knows? Irk1 says, I would say they suppress your channel based on the viewer history of your listeners. Interesting. Maybe. I mean, I think it's a lot of things, but it's been going on for a long time. It just seems to be getting, worse and worse and weirder, and so I don't know. I don't know what to do about it, but Anyways, Obsolete Optics says September 23rd, 2023, BOE. Okay. So that's the magic number. 9/23/23. Who knows? Who knows? Could be any time between this year and 10 years from now. Gene said it would be embarrassing if they approved of you. Well, yeah, on that level, it's cool, and I can take some solace in that. But on another level, it's really frustrating because I do, I work on this channel really hard, and I've been doing this every single day for years now. And so when you feel like you should have some kind of fruit, the fruits of your labor being shown or reflected, and it is not, it is very frustrating. Anyways, whatever. Thanks, Rich Diana. Yes. I'm all the way there. I'm all the way live. Okay. That was a lot of ramble. So somebody sent me an article on this, but it was almost a week ago. So I checked to see if the situation was still ongoing, and it is. Hold on. Did you all know this is happening in Jackson, Mississippi? They, because of the freeze, lost access to clean water. Their water system is still shut down. So they had trucks full of water being sent to Jackson, Mississippi because of the deep freeze that happened. And this is from yesterday. Our system basically crashed like a computer. Jackson Public Works Director said progress made in restoring water to residents. The city of Jackson provided an update on the ongoing water crisis that began following a lengthy winter storm. Public Works Director Dr. Charles Williams and Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba gave an update Sunday discussing efforts to restore water to residents who've been without it for nearly 2 weeks. They've been without water for 2 weeks. The mayor and public works director said the city is making progress when it comes to fully restoring everyone's water. However, right now, some residents in South and West Jackson are still without water, and at this time, Lumumba said he can't give an exact date on when it'll be restored. They're like, we have no idea. That really sucks. So they're trying to get water pressure into the water storage tanks of the city. They've activated the National Guard, and they have, a bunch of trucks, loaded with water coming into the city. Anyways, that is happening. Moving on. I'm going to intersperse the show today with some good informational tweets. Banks that fund climate chaos or climate crime scenes. Collection of Extinction Rebellion, Money Rebellion photos and tweets of their climate crime scene actions. Barclays and HSBC targeted, but true for all banks that fund oil, coal, and gas projects. Maybe we can see this. Anyways, they have put crime scene tape up on these banks. Climate crime scene tape targeting these banks that fund climate destruction. Also on ATMs, it looks like. And stickers, flyers, etc. Nicely done. Moving on. This from Emily Holden. I don't really know who Emily Holden is, but she says, big news. Today I'm launching at Floodlight News, a nonprofit environmental news organization that partners with local journalists and the Guardian US to investigate the corporate and ideological interests holding back climate action. And this is their first story. So we'll look at this story from Floodlight News. In the Guardian, and this is from today, a Texas city had a bold new climate plan until a gas company got involved. And I'm, as the headline of this of this video states, surprise, surprise. Really? You mean fossil fuel companies and large corporations all pooled their resources together to stop any climate action? Tell me more. The fossil fuel industry is using the same playbook to fight city climate plans around the country. When the city of Austin drafted a plan to shift away from fossil fuels, the local gas company was fast on the scene to try to scale back the ambition of the effort. Like many cities across the U.S., the rapidly expanding and gentrifying Texas city is looking to shrink its climate footprint while it is expanding and gentrifying. So there's all that bit of nonsense right there. But anyways, let's go on. So its initial plan was to virtually eliminate gas use in new buildings by 2030 and existing ones by 2040. Homes and businesses would have to run on electricity and stop using gas for heat, hot water, and stoves. And that'll be great. When your grid goes down, you won't have any power or heat to cook food unless you have a solar panel and unless you have a battery with some juice in it. So there's that too. The proposal, an existential threat to the gas industry, quickly caught the attention of Texas Gas Service. The company drafted line-by-line revisions to weaken the plan, asked customers to oppose it, and escalated its concerns to top city officials. It is in its suggested edits, the company struck references to electrification and replaced them with decarbonization, a policy that wouldn't rule out gas. It replaced electric vehicles with alternative fuel vehicles, which could run on compressed natural gas. It offered to help the city to plant more trees to absorb climate pollution and to explore technologies to pull carbon dioxide out of the air, both of which might help it keep burning gas. Yeah. Those proposed revisions were shared with Floodlight, the Texas Observer, and San Antonio Report by the Climate Investigation Center, which obtained them through public records of communications between city officials and the company. The moves have so far proven a success for Texas Gas. The most recently published draft of the climate plan gives the company much more time to sell gas to existing customers, and allows it to offset climate emissions instead of eliminating them. Well, hold on. I'm confused. Was there no gas for heat in Texas during this, but there was electricity? I was under the impression that the electrical grid went down as well. Can anybody tell me that? I thought they were both out. But yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a thing, right? So if you don't have gas and you just have electricity, I guess that's good. That's cleaner. But if your grid goes down, then you can't cook any food, and then what do you do? You got to fire up the barbecue or something. I don't know. Or unless you have some kind of solar array on your roof, or you have some power in storage, battery storage. How do you then cook or heat if you only have electricity? So I'm just saying there is that to consider. This is not my endorsement of natural gas. I'm just saying, as we go forward and we go, let's go green, you got to ask yourself questions about how is it going to happen? How do we do it? How does it work? Who does it affect? Who has access to electricity when the power grid goes out? Wealthy people with solar arrays on their roofs? Is there a possibility to have community solar arrays like in each neighborhood, right, where people are pulling power? Stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. Texas reliance on gas was on display in mid-February when more than 4 million households lost power for days after a freak's winter storm. So electricity wouldn't be helping you there. But then the gas power plants dominate the Texas grid, so that's where they're getting. It's all coming together now, I see. Gas is powering the grid, which I knew. I knew that. Providing 47% of the state's electricity, and that's, yes. Many of the plants and natural gas pipelines leading to them failed in cold conditions. More than a third of Texas households rely on gas for heat. Again, the question is, if you have millions of people relying on energy and more energy, I'm not knocking the renewables. I'm just saying, can renewables handle 100% of the load or even 50% of the load? It's just something to ask. We don't know because we're not there yet. And how long is it going to take to get there? And how much fossil fuel do we have to burn to get there? Those are adequate, genuine questions. Anyway, so basically in Texas, lawmakers have introduced 2 bills that would prohibit local governments from banning gas connections. There hasn't been a city necessarily that has banned natural gas yet, but we have whispers from the Austin City Council. So yeah, the gas lobbies are all lining up to protect their investments and their business models. Sure, of course that's happening. Just like, when the people of Denton, Texas, I'll go back to this article in a second. When the people of Denton, Texas voted to ban fracking in their city, they voted. Done. Law. We banned it. This is what we want. Then the city officials and the fracking companies and the oil companies got together and they were like, nah, we're just gonna ignore this vote that everybody took. So again, you gotta eliminate the corporations and or the corporate power. I don't know how you eliminate the corporate power without eliminating the corporations. But I don't know how to do that either. The gas burned in buildings causes about 12% of U.S. climate pollution. Well, let's go back to this map. Lawmakers in 12 states are proposing to prohibit local governments from banning gas hookups. 4 states have already enacted such laws. All right. These guys here. And they're looking to expand. Gas burned in buildings causes about 12% of U.S. climate pollution. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, cities are trying to shrink those heat-trapping emissions with building codes and mandates to switch from gas to electric appliances. In Texas, they could have a significant impact. Texas burns far more gas than any other state. 14.9% of the U.S. total. Gas is cheap and affordable and affordability is a major concern in Austin, where families and people of color continue to get priced out of fast-growing cities. The city. Even so, Austinites don't necessarily want gas, said Chelsea Gomez, a community ambassador who consulted on the city plan. When you talk to people, they don't want natural gas as a middleman to a sustainable future. They want solar panels to be affordable for them. People want better options. All right, that's fair. Burning gas indoors exposes people to dangerous pollutants that are linked with heart attacks, respiratory disease, and asthma. One study found that children in homes with gas stoves were 42% likely to have asthma than children in homes with electric stoves. Wow. Did you know that? Did you know the fossil fuel also has clear climate impacts? In Texas, the number of days that are 100 Fahrenheit or hotter has more than doubled over the past 40 years. That's true. And could double again by 2036. It's not very far away. According to a study, and in how many days, the number of days that are 100 Fahrenheit and over then becomes how many days are 110 Fahrenheit or over, or 120 Fahrenheit or over. Extreme rainfall and urban flooding are increasing. Hurricanes are getting more intense. And the Gulf of Mexico is rising. Droughts and wildfires are becoming more severe. So yeah, they're concerned. They don't want to lose their business. Yeah. In San Antonio, local business interests from the city's utility company to car dealerships were even more successful in scrubbing language that called for a full transition away from fossil fuels. CPS Energy, a city-owned utility that supplies power and gas to San Antonio, spent $650,000 to fund the climate planning process and helped put its preferred consulting firm in charge instead of faculty at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Wow. As committees were meeting in 2018, CPS Energy leaders announced they had already developed their own plan for the coming decades called the Flexible Path. Okay. It called for CPS Energy to get half its energy from wind and solar sources by 2040. So that's kind of far away, while also continuing to operate its coal plant into the 2060s. Yikes. A draft plan in 2019 refused that approach, but the utility kept pushing back. In April 2019, CPS CEO Paula Gold Williams called for an in-depth cost analysis. In a letter to San Antonio's Chief Sustainability Officer, Doug Melnick, she suggested the draft would be too costly for customers and might jeopardize grid reliability. She won. The next draft in August 2019 adopted CPS's Flexible Path. It didn't attempt to address one serious flaw. The Flexible Path wouldn't get San Antonio to its goal of being carbon neutral by 2050. And that, my friends, is going to just be echoed through many cities, towns, municipalities, states, countries for the next 10 to 20, 30 years. We want to be carbon neutral by 2050. We just don't know how to do it. And we're going to need these bridge fuels. Yeah, Kevin Shenholzer on Rockfin says industry secured changes. That just reads bribery to me. Yeah. Hey everyone, hello, people of Rockfin. Hello Laura, hello Kevin, hello Basil, hello Raza, Irk One. Who else we got on here? Urban Hermit, Snake, 1974. Jay Thadcast. You know, this is going to be, a difficult path because everybody's going to try to be negotiating the path forward. And if we really are going to have any chance to do anything about anything, we're going to have to sidestep those negotiations because those are going to drag on for years, and they'll yield some progress. And of course we've already got, progress, quote unquote progress of, more renewables being built, if you call that progress, or if you like that kind of progress, or if you think that's kind of progress is good progress. I don't know. That's another debate, but it's looking like the whole net zero goals of 2050 are going to be long blown, but it's going to be 2030 or 2035. And we're going to, a lot of places of the country and of the world are going to be having 120-degree days, quite often. The world is going to be a much changed place. And at those moments in time, 2030, 2035, people are going to be like, yeah, we're not going to hit these goals. It's not going to happen. And then it's going to be, the dark realization that too little, too late is going to start setting in for a lot of people of the planet. Unfortunately, I'm not cheering that on. I'm not necessarily happy about that. That's an unfortunate reality. And that, that's why nobody really likes climate change channels or serious climate change news, because it's super depressing. And so it's easier just to let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something else while we got time to talk about something else. Is that really going to be helpful, though? I don't know. It's a good thread from George Monbiot. Why do we collaborate in our own destruction? One of the answers, I think, is our determined commitment to irrelevance. We face massive, unprecedented challenges, but when you tune in to the most popular radio shows, you hear people talking all day about nothing. As climate and ecological breakdown happen at stupendous speed and scale, as democracy is hollowed out, as a handful of oligarchs accumulate massive economic and political power, we ensure that our heads are filled with meaningless noise. Like, oh boy, the first Asian woman won a Golden Globe. I mean, that's awesome. That's great. Good for her. But we're going over the falls. And, anybody winning any Golden Globe doesn't mean jack fucking shit, to anybody. Honestly, anybody winning a football game doesn't mean jack fucking shit to anybody. Honestly. It's just meaningless nonsense and noise to, distract from or make people feel like, everything's nice and normal and trivial. If alien spaceships started incinerating our cities and we turned on the radio, we'd be told, so the hot topic today is, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you while eating a kebab? The great majority of what we listen to imparts no useful knowledge or understanding about our world. It feels like a defensive reaction, a determination not to know. I've come to believe that this frantic triviality is as dangerous as any propaganda. It forms a loop. As our heads fill with determined irrelevance, it becomes socially impossible to talk about anything else. The mental shift required to discuss serious, crucial issues too great. Let's not pretend this empty prattle is the preserve of the music stations. Most political journalism is court gossip. Boom. I'm going to give George Monbiot a ding on that one. Who's in? Who's out? Who said what to whom? It studiously avoids what lies beneath: the dark money, the corruption, the shift of power away from democracy. Even the literary pages of the newspapers are committed to gossip, highfalutin celebrity culture. The 23rd biography of a member of the Bloomsbury set will get blanket reviews, while crucial books such as The Good Ancestor and The Patterning Instinct are completely ignored. It's the kind of cultured small talk that T.S. Eliot, picking up the lyrics of a song, satirized in The Wasteland. Oh, that Shakespearean rag. It fills our hours while time closes in. So one answer to the question of why we collaborate in our own destruction is that we deliberately turn away from the knowledge and understanding and fill our heads with insistent chatter. It's a subtle and insidious form of reactive denial. Perhaps the denial reflex is inevitable in a species that's aware, not aware of its own mortality. But we have ramped it up in the 21st century to the point at which it both dominates and threatens our lives. Hurry up, please. It's time. Yeah, good thread by George Monbiot. I rather enjoyed that. And we'll move on to something from Ben C. very quickly, as it's no longer controversial for scientists to wonder if sea level rise will begin to cause havoc by 2035 and then wreck most of the world's major cities before our kids hit retirement age. Would now be a good time for media to lead with how we're going to try to prevent it? Right. Ding for Ben C. And lastly, this is one way we could quickly prevent it. And, again, auto manufacturers and politicians and fossil fuel companies and, all the corporate forces and the oligarchs would align against a mass adoption of this, of what this city in Spain did. They banned cars. In Pontevedra, people don't shout, or they shout less, with all but the most essential traffic banished. There are no revving engines or honking horns, no metallic snarl of motorbikes or the roar of people trying to make themselves heard above the din, none of the usual soundtrack of a Spanish city. What you hear in the street instead are the tweeting of birds and the camillas, the tinkle of coffee spoons and the sound of human voices. Teachers herd crocodiles of small children across town without the constant fear that one of them will stray into traffic. Anyways, they pedestrianized 300,000 square meters of the city, the center of the city, paving the streets with granite flagstones. The historical center was dead, the center of the city. There were a lot of drugs. It was full of cars. It was a marginal zone. It was a city in decline, polluted, and there were a lot of traffic accidents. It was stagnant. Most people who had a chance to leave did so. At first, we thought of improving traffic conditions, but couldn't come up with a workable plan. Instead, we decided to take back the public space for the residents. And to do this, we decided to get rid of cars. They stopped cars crossing the city and got rid of street parking, as people looking for a place to park is what causes the most congestion. They closed all surface car parks in the city center and opened underground ones, and others on the periphery with 1,686 free spaces. They got rid of the traffic lights in favor of roundabouts. All right, so looks like there's still quite a bit of traffic around the city. But anyways, ban the cars. Don't make new cool ones. Don't make new awesome ones so that everybody can get their American car culture on. Ban them. Get rid of them. Park them. Leave them to die. Don't buy new ones if you can help it. Don't buy I got a Tesla, bro. I mean, they're really cool. You know, Tesla's super cool. But I'm sorry to tell the people, all the really super cool brand new Tesla owners, you're not helping. Get a bicycle or figure out a way to maybe ditch your car if you can, if it's at all possible. Creative Experiment says vegans love cars. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for today in this particular live stream. Irk1 says, when my car dies, it's becoming a tree planter. Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my car going as long as possible. Or, I mean, right now it seems to be great. I don't really drive my car much anymore, and that feels super great. I enjoy not driving it much. Unfortunately, I still need it for some things. But one day, and hopefully sooner than later, I'll barely need it at all. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Gene asks, Kevin, do you ever delve into deep adaptation? Not really. I mean, I get the concept of it, and I think that's probably, I don't know. I mean, we're gonna adapt anyways, so we're gonna have to adapt. If you're gonna survive, you're gonna have to adapt. So I feel like the concept of deep adaptation is kind of like, it's somewhat moot. It's a moot point because we're going to end up adapting anyways. And I mean, the idea to start adapting now, I think is smart, or the idea that like we should understand what's coming and what's happening. And so make moves to adapt now and, beat the rush. I agree with that. Going South, how you doing? Thank you. Yes. I'm going to do a neorealism show in about 15 minutes at noon. So I will see you guys on Rockfin exclusively for a neorealism. And we're going to talk about just going to do a real short one at noon. All right, guys. Until next time, peace.